video by Oompaville. The Disney situation is insane. And this is kind of late news because this is from a year ago, presumably perhaps even more than a year ago. They only update it, but I think when you get to the end of the year, they don't do months or whatever the crap. Oh, hold on. Yeah, August 21st to 2024. So near the end of 2024. Well, comparatively near the end. August is technically the 7th? Is it the 7th month? Anyways, yeah. Let's get into this.
Hi guys, my name's Caleb and this is the Disney Channel. This is the Disney Channel. We've got Victoria Justice, iCarly, all the other ones that were around.
I think I don't really watch. I don't know how much of Disney I would have actually watched growing up.
When I was young.
You do, like, there was some weird thing in Star Trek, and this is something you should know, because it's important. It's very important. I'm 90% sure the shenanigan thing is something they stole from The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. There's one of those where I think like Zack is about to graduate, and they use that line "shenanigan" because in the Star Trek whatchamacallit, I did not watch it. It's the one where they're at college or whatever the crap. Star Trek Starfleet Academy. I don't know. They use this stupid, like, they shenaned once, they'll shenan again. And I'm 90% sure they stole that from The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. Or at least that, I'm pretty sure, would precede it. Just saying. I'm going to keep an eye on those suckers.
You consider yourself a paranoid person? Maybe you're
Only on days that end in Y.
worried about corporate America spying on you and acting as a lobbyist to sway your government to be able to spy on you more and extract more out of you, more stuff, more money.
Revenue of $23.16
That's a
billion.
lot of money.
It's also
That's a whole lot of money. I wish I had that much money.
Since May 2023.
I love that money. Are you?
To be fair, I don't know if Walt Disney is as popular as it once was. I think it's still pretty popular, but I feel like they're maybe not as much on the rise as at least they once were. I think it's got all the crap they put in their stuff. Yeah, there's kind of there's another rant I want to go on. No, I guess this is the other one wasn't really a rant. This is the first rant of the day, first official rant of the day. It feels like the notion is that, like, tough love only really works when you first have the love. I'm willing to accept being lectured by someone I care about, right? If my parents or someone who has a good relationship with me comes down really hard and says, "Do you know what, you gotta stop doing blah 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 blah," I will at least listen to that. But the type of, like, ham-fisted, strict, don't do drugs, kids, that comes out in movies these days is quite insufferable, especially coming out of Hollywood, who really shouldn't be lecturing anyone about anything, in my humble estimation. They're kind of degenerates. But I do think there's, like, not that you should necessarily put messaging in films, but I do think if you do it, sorry, if it is done, it should be Socratic method or nothing at all. Seth MacFarlane in the Orville show. Bear in mind, conservative Christian. He presents this all-male species, and to me, that is an all-male alien species. And to me, that is an incredibly clever and intriguing way to discuss the notion of homosexuality or whatever like that. I don't know if it comes up a lot, but I thought that was really intriguing. Like, again, presenting an idea without telling people what to think about it or saying that they're bad if they don't think the right way about thinking about that thing. It is, it feels like that's kind of the only way to go. I'm not saying, like, messaging otherwise will ruin a movie, but it will contribute to the enshittification of the movie. I tend to think it like narrows their margins for errors. If you're going to put something into the movie that annoys me, the movie has to be that much better for me to be like, yeah, okay, fine. And maybe not entirely, but it feels like that as a general rule, that tends to be the case. Because I guess I also think I would like to think I'm like super logical about liking movies or disliking movies. It's just this scale of things you like, things you don't like, and if the scale of things you don't like outweighs the things you do like I think sometimes it literally just takes one thing that you really like. Like you can understand that no, this is not a worthwhile movie. It's kind of bad, but yeah, if there's one thing that really catches your eye or really, I think quite often that's enough. All right, rant over.
Worried about corporations growing even larger and more evil potentially? Maybe if that's possible. If you are, then
What was that?
larger and more evil potentially.
Disney denies dad's request to put Spider-Man on it. What the shit is wrong with them?
Maybe
I remember hearing about that. That is kind of... I understand it maybe opens them up to certain things, but dude...
if that's possible. If you are, then you better loosen your tinfoil hat, buddy, because that shit's not real and you're a crazy person.
Become aware of everything. And then I want you to become aware that you are aware
What the heck?
of all of these things.
And this is the end of the video.
He's literally holding a red flag. I just want to point that out.
Thank you, Gump Club members. Thank you so much. Whoa! Just kidding! Some of the largest corporations in the United States of America are incredibly evil.
Family, religion, friendship.
I just want to point out, I don't know if I would say evil per se. They're just indifferent, which, you know, functionally kind of the same thing, but it's not like they're malevolent forces per se. They just, well, maybe they are. Maybe they're just greedy. Maybe that would qualify. Like, yeah, I don't know. I think quite often the things they do are not because they hate people in particular. It's just because, hey, let's see. Cogs in the factory. No. Cogs in the machine.
These are the 3 demons you must slay if you wish to succeed in business.
And have
Harry.
horrible tech weapons spanning their entire existence. One of these corporations is Disney, and if you've paid any attention to the news in recent years, you would know that this corporation is it's basically, outside of making like The Mandalorian and some cool shit, corporately
That's kind of, it feels like they're kind of passing the buck a little bit.
it's very evil. It's bad. It's right. It's not a real.
Wait a second. Does Disney even own Spider-Man? I thought that was a Sony thing. I thought there was a whole thing about them. Do they own the rights to like the advertising or the emblematic type stuff? The sigils to Spider-Man?
Real thing to love anymore. It's not. I guess it never was, to be honest. But it's bad. Disney sucks.
We don't need Disney f***ing Plus, Scott. We've got cable, and that's enough.
They've been accused of a bunch of shit like racism, sexism, plagiarism, and
I kind of want to read some of these.
Enough.
they've been accused of a bunch of shit like racism.
Nice. Okay, for the love. I guess I don't know what this one is, but I just
Sexism.
Depiction of female as young and delicate, wearing gowns that be admired for their beauty and is what the boo, boo, you suck. Not Disney for depicting people this way. The people who are like, yeah, women famously hate being admired for their beauty or being saved.
Plagiarism.
Have been accused of plagiarizing existing works. The most notable and controversial example, The Lion King, which critics allege was plagiarized from Osamu Tezuka's Japanese manga. To be fair, like, manga is not well known. Like, anime type stuff is not well known, so I am gonna guess there might have been a lot of creative similes that were made with regards to, like, Western media. Probably.
And erroneous lawsuits to keep people quiet and protect their.
Erroneous. Nice. I think they were, like, I had seen they were going to make a whole bunch of horror movies with regards to this thing. What is that? Like, why? Maybe it's just some sort of, like, innate thing that we kind of, like, gives us chills or something, where, like, you have a childhood thing. I think Winnie the Pooh was maybe something where they made some sort of horror film about him, Blood and Honey. I think that's what it was called. That's kind of messed up still. Like, just leave kids things in. I guess maybe it works. I don't know.
IPs. Haha, public domain. Haha, mouse. We got the mouse. Public domain. Haha, haha. We got the mouse. Public domain. And they're allowed to keep up this behavior because they pay a lot of people a lot of money, and there's loyalists. Disney. I mean, we talk about Disney adults a lot. Those type of people.
Disney adults are horrifying, horrifying creatures. I didn't even think I was going to talk about Disney adults, right? Everybody kind of knows. It's in the ethos. It's in the galaxy. It's in the air. People, if you're over like 30 years old, I don't know. I dare I even say 25?
This feels like kind of an Arrested Development type issue. Like, I'm not saying like I don't enjoy like watching stuff from when I was a kid or like watching younger shows. Kicking It was really good. I don't really. Yeah. Now, to be fair, like I don't know. There's not a lot of things where like it feels like it can be taken to a very unhealthy extent. Put it that way.
And you are like religiously, you're like a big Disney fan and you like going to Disney World and that's your favorite thing ever. It's creepy, okay?
Here's some Disney adults in government, lobbyists. Look, that's Mitch McConnell. He's a Disney adult. That's crazy. I bet he loves Disney. He probably loves Spider-Man and Han Solo and yeah. Like my hand's swollen because I got stinged by a hornet on my hand. Oh, help!
I got my hand bumped the other day. There's no bruise, but it hurts. I don't think there's a bruise. It just kind of looks normal.
Help me, Walt Disney! Just kidding, he's an anti-Semite. Just kidding, it seems like he may...
Okay, what? Walt Disney has a complex figure both celebrated and condemned, but allegations that he was a rabid anti-Semite are unproven, Disney experts say. Talking to TV critics. Wasn't, Ford kind of anti-Semitic? Henry Ford? I think he had brought in a whole bunch of Muslims or something to help with some of that stuff just because he really didn't like Jews or something. Talking to TV critics on Sunday about PBS, American Experience, blah, blah, blah. It is absolutely preposterous to call him anti-Semitic, said Sherman, the son of a Jewish immigrant. He and his brother Robert, his writing partner, were treated like sons by Disney, he said. Okay, hey. To be fair, even Hitler had a Jewish doctor, so doesn't necessarily it's not nothing, but it's not everything either.
Not be an anti-Semite, I don't really know. Today we're going down the Disney rabbit hole a little bit, and specifically I wanted to make this video due to some stuff that's been in the news recently, and we'll be talking about that, shedding a bit of...
Yeah, I think I mentioned this at one point. There was literally a case where someone was... It was kind of in reference to a contract that with the whole bricks and minifigs, brick by brick thing, where I think there's a thing where like someone had died over allergies on Disney ground at a Disney restaurant or something like that. And because they had Disney Plus and they had signed something in Disney Plus about agreeing to a certain type of resolution to stuff like that, they kind of said that, no, you have to agree to adjudication or something like that, where like we decide how we figure it out. And I think they had been deemed like illegal, that you couldn't just stick random shit into a contract like that, like just blanket statement, everyone who owns Disney Plus. Now, if anything happens on a Disney property or something like that, where Disney is culpable, now these people have to agree to, I forgot what the actual word is, but I think it's effectively they have to agree to negotiations in a very specific way determined by Disney Plus, or by Disney. It's kind of a little bit of a sucky, underhanded way of doing business, but, you know, they are a corporation, so.
Of a light on it because it is absolutely absurd and should not be a thing. This happened very recently, and this was the reason I wanted to cover this in a video.
Yeah, that's what it was, yeah. Arbitration, that's what it was.
Because, you know, everybody knows Disney's bad, all big giant corporations are evil, etc., etc., etc. But like Disney's different because they are the gatekeepers of the stories that a lot of people grew up with. They're the gatekeepers of like a certain level of magic a certain level of innocence and charm and things that are good that you wouldn't know are associated with something that's so bad. And I think this gives the perfect example of what Disney is as an entity as a whole. Now, it's really important to note that this part of the video was recorded mere hours before this was released. I think the point still remains true, and if people wouldn't have gotten...
It's a thing they, like, if they hadn't gotten in trouble, that's what I probably was going to say, if they hadn't gotten in trouble, really? Do you think they would have stopped? They're not exactly the soul of heart and mercy.
So mad, I don't think that they would have changed that, because their lawyers still have to withdraw the petition in court to make it not go to our... That still was their original defense. So it's like, I don't know. So you have to bear with us. It's outdated information. They're no longer doing this. This is very important, but this was still their stance, and it is bizarre and surreal, and the reason that I made this video.
Yeah, it's still one of those things. Like, do you think if there hadn't been an uproar, do you think if it hadn't become a thing in the news, it's kind of like, oh, I'm sorry that I got caught.
Their initial response to this being that was the reason that I was like, oh, wow, maybe we should do a fucking Disney video. Whoa, these people are crazy. This is quite a rabbit hole. This is irrevocable. This is not something that I can, like, it's I don't even really know how to say it. I have no words. Anyways, we'll get to the story. Disney has been under some significant scrutiny recently surrounding a death inside their park. On October 5th, 2023, a doctor at the NYU Langone Hospital in Manhattan died after eating at the
There are, unverified, but there are stories about stuff like this where they have theme parks and people die. And they ensure that the person is taken off the whatever and declared dead somewhere else. I think it's a little bit strange, but I guess that they don't want people to ever have actually died on them. Whatever. Yeah.
Road Irish pub in Disney Springs, which is a Disney World Resort shopping mall. That Thursday, Dr. Tung Swan ordered some broccoli,
Dr. Tongues? What the?
corn fritter, scallops, and onion rings. And when she made the order, she repeatedly told the staff to check to ensure the food had no nuts or milk, because she had allergies. After her and her husband left the restaurant, they continued to shop, but she began to feel very ill, and eventually her symptoms escalated and she went into anaphylaxis. Her husband was able to administer an EpiPen, but she would later die at a local hospital. And there was obviously...
That's unfortunate, because I would have thought, like, I wouldn't have guessed I would have known that there was an EpiPen involved, but you would think that having an EpiPen, it would have been fine, right? That is extremely, like, I don't know if it's a case where she just had a whole bunch of that stuff before, or...
Obviously gross negligence by the wait staff there. She asked multiple times. There are accidents, obviously, but like this is just something she made very clear, and it's Disney's response to this, her death as a result of this gross negligence.
That's why I feel like it'd be really hard for people with allergies. Like, technically, I think I have some intolerances. Like, I don't handle seafood well, but I don't think I've ever, like, gone into some sort of, like, I've never gotten hives or a rash or swelling from stuff like that. So I don't think I'm actually technically allergic. I just don't handle certain things very well. But that would be annoying.
Is mind-boggling. You'd think that after such a tragic event would occur inside their own park, Disney would do anything to make the situation right, especially since Disney publicly advertises this dedication to food safety for its guests. Like, that's one of their main sort of things, because it is incredibly important. But, you know, that's not true. Unsurprisingly, Disney is fighting the husband in court, and Tung Swan's husband, Jeffrey, sued the Walt Disney Company for $50,000 of damages shortly after the wrongful death of...
See, I feel like that's, I don't know, this is probably terrible because I'm just so immersed in these days, but like I'm expecting like millions of dollars worth of whatever. Like, why would you even go to court? Just pay him the money. It looks really bad, right? It kind of looks really bad that you're like, oh.
his wife. However, Disney's lawyers have recently come out and said that the case should be dismissed and resolved by individual arbitration because Jeffrey signed up for a free Disney Plus trial years ago. And you might be wondering, how the
That is...
is that possible? Why is that even relevant? In the terms of service for Disney Plus, it is stated that any dispute between you and us, the Disney Corporation, except for small claims, is subject to a class action waiver and must be resolved by individual binding arbitration. Arbitration court is a nightmare, and this is so evil. But of course, since he agreed to the terms and services of the platform, he also agreed to that stipulation, which Disney's lawyers argues makes the case invalid. The wrongful death of his wife.
All right, I think we already kind of know this part. Let's see where...
Disney Plus. I undid my subscription as soon as I found this out. I'm not one for like boycotts and stuff, really. I don't really care that much about stuff. This is just insane. This is the worst company that exists. This is crazy. There's a lot more context,
Pretty bad.
though, that we should get into to kind of go down the Disney rabbit hole. You know, that's obviously a very new story that just happened, and things like that have happened in the past. I'll get into that. There's one story about a little boy. Crazy. It's unbelievable that this company has done all these things. We've learned a lot since.
Sorry, I'm just hearing little boy, and because it's Hollywood and Disney and stuff like that, I'm just imagining all sorts of wrong stuff. So that's where my mind went.
Researching it. But
Sign of the times, I guess.
if we're going to properly encapsulate the level of evil that Disney has done, we need to start with what made them famous in the first place. They're awesome movies. Disney has produced animation since the late 1920s, with their first project being Steamboat Willie. Ever heard of it? Public domain. Haha, there he is. There's the mouse. Look, I own him. He's mine. It's got my name on it. Look,
I don't know if the music is public domain. Don't strike me, please.
that's my signature on that. Isn't that awesome? I own it. Shut up, Frankie. It was released in 1928. It's old as... It's a terrible animation. It's innocent, very poorly made. Just kidding. They made this shit in 2000 or 1928.
Oh,
That's impressive. They weren't doing a lot in 1928, I've got to say. Really, they weren't doing much. This animation...
That's why I think I'd heard about this. I don't think I think Disney had started out making a lot of like short films before they actually started making like feature length. I'm thinking Snow White was the first like feature length film that they'd made. It's kind of interesting.
Pretty
Some of the history of that stuff.
innocent. Things would go downhill quickly from here. One of Disney's first and most popular animated films, Fantasia, contained imagery of a black centaurette named Otica serving a white centaurette. If you couldn't tell what makes this bad,
No, it's very subtle.
it is how each character in the show is depicted. If you would like me to really spell it out for you. One of the very first scenes where both characters are, Otica is polishing Sunflower's hooves, and the characters' designs are very racist, based on old minstrel shows. For those of you who do not know, minstrel shows were incredibly popular attractions in the 1800s, back when people were incredibly racist. They were...
Yeah, it was like, I'm trying to think, like, I think they would, like, blackface, huge red lip type stuff. Oh, goodness. The only reason I know, well, the only type of thing I've seen like that actually was probably on Jeeves and Wooster, where they did kind of a minstrel show, which is something that, like, it feels like would be, these days in England, that type of thing would be more kind of taboo than it would maybe be in America. I feel like England's almost gone further in their regards to, like, not doing racist stuff than America has.
Were very popular. That's why...
For the record, in Jeeves and Wooster, it wasn't like, I think they just had blackface going on. I don't think they actually were, like, acting out scenes where put the white man in the pot and eat him type stuff was going on. Or, like, you know, stuff like that. I think they were playing guitars or whatever. Maybe singing songs. Lady of Spain, I believe.
Black people were often portrayed as idiotic, scary, infantile. It's terrible. It's horrible. Eventually, the characters from the minstrel shows would be turned into racist stereotypes after slavery was abolished and used during the Jim Crow era, which was named after a popular minstrel show character.
Under the separate but equal clause.
Mm-hmm.
The U.S. Supreme Court legitimizes segregation and social discrimination, treating black people as second-class citizens. Known collectively as Jim Crow laws, after a racial depiction performed in blackface, these laws reinforce racial prejudice and deny rights to black people in the United States.
So yeah, I'm just laying this out because it gives us context as to, where Disney's really coming from here. So yeah, back to Fantasia. Otica is depicted in an incredibly disrespectful manner. Sure, you can say, it was the times, everyone was
Yeah, I was just like I'm not seeing exactly what's the most racist thing, but I'm assuming it's the lips or whatever like that.
racist. They were just doing what was cool, this was cool back then. Racism, woo! Or whatever.
And to be fair, they're just basically doing what's cool now as well. I feel like if they thought for a second this type of thing would sell again, they would be on that, like, white on rice.
But it's like, all right, well, that same company exists now, and...
Wait, so is white on rice some sort of ethnic slur? I think I'd heard it used in that context, but I'm not for sure. I'll look this up. Look up white on rice, offensive. According to the white on rice is not a racial idiom. It is likens closeness, stickiness, or being all over task on. Yeah. I'm wrong. I stand corrected. I thought I'd heard it used one time in that context.
Yeah. And they're still kind of like up to no good. The pendulum has swung so far that they're still just evil. Fantasia came out in 1940 when Jim Crow was still very much around and prevalent.
I feel like in a lot of cases, like corporations,
but Fantasia is not the only early film to.
I feel like a lot of people literally just a lot of corporations. They're slaves to the current thing. Again, like I said, like I don't think they're like if wanting money, I guess, is evil, then yeah, they're probably greedy at least. But it's not like like what you would think of as like really a malevolent type thing. They just kind of are spineless, and they do whatever works.
Have these racist depictions and more, starting with Dumbo, which was released in 1941. In the film, there is a murder of crows that Dumbo meets and teaches him how to appreciate his ears.
What's all the ruckus? Come on, step aside, brother.
Now, while the message is positive, the designs of the crows
He said brothers.
aren't. They designed the crows off of minstrel show characters. I saw this movie.
I guess I don't know. Yes, could be. I don't know.
As a kid, I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I have no idea. Looking back at this as an adult now, I'm like, wow, that's insane. One of them's named Jim Crow.
Okay, that's maybe a little bit on the nose. Fair enough. He did say brothers, so I don't know. Feels like they were maybe making them aggressively ethnic.
Okay. So yeah, positive message, but veiled race. Not even really veiled. The main crow's named Jim Crow. They didn't even thinly veil, and it's just like right there. And then nobody, I guess nobody knew, or I don't really know. I didn't know as a kid. I was like, wow, that guy's name's Jim Crow. That's a cool name. That's a funny name. And then I went to school because I was no longer 5 years old. By the way,
I'm pretty sure this guy was homeschooled. How did he?
They omitted the crows in their 2019 remake of Dumbo. Good job, Disney. Very, very, very good. Very, very, very good.
Who's supposed to teach him to appreciate his ears then?
So you've got racism against black people. How about racism against Native Americans in Peter Pan, guys, which came out in 1953. In the film, the natives had deep red-colored skin, they spoke broken English, and had stereotypical headdresses and clothing. You got Aristocats, came out in 1970, had a very stereotypical depiction of an Asian cat with small eyes, chopsticks, and...
Oh, sorry. Sorry, the depiction looks a little bit funny, but that is... I didn't know that was a thing where they play the piano with chopsticks.
Broken English, looking like Mickey Rooney. Mickey Rooney, by the way.
That was the one I had seen something recently over where it was literally just like they took a non-Asian guy and had like the most over-the-top stereotypical whatever the crap depiction of Asians.
was known for his racist impression of Asian people. So yeah, these are very overtly racist and stereotypical depictions of pretty much everybody who's not a white guy, all right? And I know a lot of
Did they get Italians? Those are kind of white, right?
people are gonna be like, Oompaville, don't be so soft. They're old cartoons, who cares? Yes, I realize, but you gotta practice what you preach. And Disney, once again, the pendulum has swung so far the other way. If they were just like, you know, we apologize, that's not us anymore. We're kind of like best step for it. No, they're like evil now. They're still evil. They're evil then, and now they're just evil now in a different way.
Yeah. Preach, brother.
So them. So them. Them. They can suck it. They.
Huh. You know, the same type of dynamic that seems to exist with regards to N-word. Maybe this is just racist, but I would tend to think of black people saying brother, not brother. Brother with a hard R. Never thought of that.
Can suck. What makes.
And again, I've invented a new racial slur.
This way worse is that they have
I forgot what I think the other one I had kind of invented was with regards to Arab people. Maybe.
the same exact excuse as those people, you guys, those people out there who you know, their retort is like, you know, it's just the times, right? They had a warning label on all the movies we listed stating this program is presented as originally created, but the warning previously said it may contain outdated cultural depictions. But then they changed it to these stereotypes were wrong then and are wrong now. Rather than
why are you still showing it then? Okay, let me read this. Last year, the streaming service added content warnings to content considered to have outdated depictions that appeared as a small text box written on the stream. The updated disclosure appears when the user clicks on the film, with the label lasting on screen for about 10 seconds. This program includes negative depictions and or mistreatment of people or cultures. These stereotypes were wrong then and are wrong now, and rather than want to acknowledge that its harmful impact and make a lot of money, I imagine.
remove this content, we want to acknowledge its harmful impact, learn from it, and spark conversations to create a more inclusive future together. Disney is committed to creating stories with
This is the biggest amount of corporate BS I've ever seen. No. Not really, but that's hyperbolic. But this feels like it's the most corporate speak. Whatever the crap.
inspirational and aspirational themes that reflect the rich diversity of
Togetherness.
the human experience around the globe. By the way, we still want to make as much money as humanly possible. We do not care about our past transgressions. We do not give a singular. We are evil.
Yeah, to those of you who don't know this, they have a habit of conveniently shrinking and or eliminating persons of ethnic extractions on their posters in China or other countries. So it feels like they are quite duplicitous with regards to this type of stuff. Two-faced, even.
It's okay.
That's redundant.
Hey guys, because Disney even has a website now dedicated to inclusivity and improving the world. Bringing us to our next point. Animal cruelty! Not only are they cruel to human beings, which is a lot more important than animals, just saying, they're also
I can't disagree, but it's still kind of shit. Yeah.
so cruel to animals. In 1974, Disney opened Treasure Island, which was a new attraction where guests could pay to see and walk around exotic animals and birds. And the park was a major success and was open until 1999 when it closed and all the animals were killed. Just kidding, they were moved to Disney's Animal Kingdom and then killed. Just kidding again. The island would see controversy.
To be fair, I wouldn't have put it past him.
A few years before its closure. The animals were fine. They were moved to Disney's. Well, maybe they were fine. They're exotic animals trapped in cages. Okay, that's not that cool. On January 6th, not that one, different insurrection, 1990, Disney settled a claim of animal cruelty by paying $95,000. Apparently, wild vultures were a huge problem for the island and island staff. They would repeatedly attack small birds, poop on the boardwalk.
Well, they're vultures. What do you expect?
And were extremely loud around guests. They sounded like this. Just kidding. I don't know what vultures sound like, to be honest.
That sounds like something at a Jurassic Park. If that's actually real.
You may say, well, maybe they'll get a cat or something to get the vultures out of there, or maybe some bird spray, or like, I don't know, some shit like that. No. To combat it, the Disney workers would beat the vultures to death, purposely destroy their eggs and nests, and lock them in a shed with no food or water. Things got...
Okay. Probably not good, but I can't help but think that a part of me is feeling less sorry because they're vultures and they were extremely invasive / predatory / whatever the crap. Shot at hawks and falcons, knocked eggs from the nests of egrets and ibises. Disney was trying to control wild birds, particularly vultures, on Disney Island. It's 11-acre zoological park. The birds were attacking animals, stealing their food, defecating them. Yeah.
So out of hand that they even shot at random hawks and falcons. That's crazy. They faced 15 charges.
You could have a gun in an amusement park. We used to be a proper country.
Against 5 separate employees, but prosecutors let the corporation off easy as long as it agreed
Oh, maybe it was some sort of dart gun too. I don't know.
to no new
I don't think they would have had dart guns back then. At least not widely available. So it was probably literally just them shooting at stuff.
violations for at least 1 year. So anyways, yeah, very great stuff. That's awesome. And in spite of getting off the hook legally, Disney had to pay $75,000 to the Florida Game and Freshwater Fish Commission, $10,000 to the Florida Audubon Society and in Maitland, and another $10,000 to the federal government.
Mm-hmm. What's the Audubon Society? I'm thinking of like German roads.
So they got a few fines. Not even that crazy of fines. You should have fined them more. How much were they worth in 1990? Let's see. Disney net worth 1990. Phew, they made $800 million in 1990. Yeah, f- 'em. They can suck my dick. Also, all this stuff is crazy because, you know, they're beating animals in the 90s and there's all these insanely racist depictions. But hunters, in 1942 when Bambi came out, they made hunters out to be the bad guys in Bambi. What the?
Hypocrites.
Which I guess they are, if you think about it, in the context of Bambi. But it's like, animals can't talk, though. That's the thing, you know. Animals can't talk, and, you know, the others...
Yeah. I guess I think they can technically communicate somehow, right? A little bit. They might not have like what you would consider speech as such, but yeah.
Stereotypes aren't true, either. Animals aren't, they can't talk. It's just a bunch of horse shit. Disney's a bunch of horse shit. I've proudly not watched Disney movies in my life. My mom used to try to get me to watch Lady and the Tramp. I think that's the one with the dogs, maybe. I remember that one. I've seen Dumbo only once or twice. My sister used to watch The Lion King all the time. I never watched it. Yeah, I just couldn't. I didn't like how they weren't real. I like to watch Marty Stauffer's Wild World.
It's a possum, right?
I thought that animations and cartoons when I was a kid were just like, I couldn't watch them. I don't know what's...
You know, one really good one. I don't know if I would tend to even really like Disney that much. I think I like Pixar movies better. It just feels like they were a little bit maybe, I don't know. But one of them that I really like, I think was one that's kind of in the later end of kind of the early phase. It still has kind of the old vibe to it. So it's not like modern, but Emperor's New Groove. Really good movie. It's kind of like a little bit fourth wall breaky. Again, I think it came near like the end of the classical like Disney type stuff. So it was maybe kind of making fun of some of that stuff where it's like, yeah, whatever, but it's really good. I think it actually might be like a little bit allegorical because there's a story about Nebuchadnezzar in the Bible where whatever, but you know, it gets turned into a cow when asked to eat grass for a while. But it's a little bit reminiscent of that. Really good movie though. Really good movie.
I know what's wrong with me. Never mind. I know what's wrong with me. Yeah. Pretty funny though.
Anyways, you guys can go check out the rest of this if you like. Disney Situation is Insane by Oompaville. All right, moving on.